Christopher Walken's name is synonymous with unforgettable performances, quirky line deliveries, and a filmography as wide-ranging as it is iconic. From The Deer Hunter to Catch Me If You Can, his presence in cinema spans decades and genres. But nestled in the shadows of his most famous roles lies a lesser-known war drama that's quietly endured for over 4 decades, The Dogs of War, 1980. Released just 2 years after Walken's Oscar-winning turn in The Deer Hunter, this gritty, morally complex war film stands as an underappreciated gem every serious cinephile needs to experience at least once. A film rooted in political reality and Cold War shadows. The Dogs of War isn't your average action movie. It's based on the novel by Frederick Forsyth, who penned the story after embedding himself in the very world he wanted to write about. Forsyth didn't just research African coups, he lived them. While in Guinea, he posed as someone financing a real coup d'etat, brushing shoulders with mercenaries, arms dealers, and shadowy operatives. That real-world experience bleeds into every frame of the film, grounding it in a geopolitical tension that still feels relevant today. Set in a fictional West African country, the movie follows Jamie Shannon, Walken, a battle-hardened mercenary hired by a multinational corporation to assess the feasibility of toppling a brutal dictator. What begins as a reconnaissance mission spirals into something more ethically tangled as Shannon faces questions not only about the job at hand, but about himself. Walken at his most restrained and most explosive. Christopher Walken's portrayal of Jamie Shannon is quiet, brooding, and internal, a slow-burn performance that builds to a boiling point. While many war movie protagonists are loud and commanding, Shannon is emotionally distant, a man who's seen too much and feels too little until he doesn't. In the film's final moments, Walken delivers a powerful twist and a memorable one-liner that lingers long after the credits roll. It's not the most quotable or flashy role in Walken's catalog, but it's among his most grounded and thoughtful. And while The Dogs of War never quite reaches the psychological heights of The Deer Hunter, Walken's presence gives the film a weight it otherwise might not have had. A flawed but fascinating adaptation. Despite its strengths, The Dogs of War isn't a perfect film. Director John Irvin makes some curious narrative choices, including underdeveloping supporting characters, most notably Tom Berenger, whose role was significantly cut in post-production. The pacing also suffers at times, oscillating between moody character study and explosive military thriller, without always landing the transition cleanly. The film opens with gritty, documentary-style visuals and builds up an engaging setup, only to stall in a second act filled with low-stakes reconnaissance and domestic detours. But if viewers are patient, the third act delivers a payoff that's worth the wait. The XM-18 and a climax worth the build-up. One of the film's standout elements is the careful setup and satisfying payoff of its military hardware, particularly the iconic XM-18 grenade launcher. It became synonymous with the film, even appearing on posters and in marketing materials. Used effectively in the final raid sequence, the weapon is more than a prop. It becomes part of the film's identity. That third act, filled with tension, tactical planning, and violent confrontation, makes The Dogs of War an essential entry in the canon of anti-war films. It avoids glorifying violence and instead presents it as brutal, chaotic, and soul-draining. Why The Dogs of War still matters. In an era of overproduced war blockbusters, The Dogs of War stands out for its restraint and realism. It doesn't bombard the audience with melodrama or over-the-top heroism. Instead, it slowly unfolds a world where morality is murky, violence is transactional, and men like Jamie Shannon are both perpetrators and victims of their own haunted pasts. The film may not be a household name like Apocalypse Now or Platoon, but it deserves to be mentioned in the same breath for its thematic ambition and Walken's haunting performance. At 45 years old, The Dogs of War is not just a time capsule of 1980s cinema, it's a film that echoes into today's geopolitical climate. The verdict: watch it for the slow burn, stay for the fire. If you're a fan of Christopher Walken, war dramas with a political edge, or morally complex thrillers, The Dogs of War is a must-watch. It may not be perfect, but it's a film with grit, purpose, and an unforgettable climax. And while it's unlikely to be the first title mentioned in a conversation about Great War films or Walken's best roles, it just might be one of the most rewarding to rediscover.